Welcome. Internet's not doing so well tonight, so everything's kind of laggy. But thanks for joining us tonight. We got a wicked show. Green room's full and ready to go. Do I have any bullshit for you? Not really. Enough about me. Well, actually, for the first time in my life, I ran my own tractor on my own farmland and broke up my own soil, and I felt like a farmer. It felt good. Just wanted to say that. So this lady, we have to bring a lady on that we admire because we kind of threw some elbows there, and we haven't been very nice to women lately. So I was talking to Segovia. I'm like, why don't we just bring in a lady that we can really admire? And this one I do. So this lady, at the beginning of COVID, she was out there doing her job. Okay, I'll tell you my experience and why I appreciate this woman is because when I was in Alberta, I was there because during COVID at the beginning, because those people, for the most part, not like the rest of the country, they weren't putting up with shit. Nobody was wearing masks as much. As many people were standing up, and people were getting threatened and fired. Some people did get fired, I guess. A lot of threats, a lot of intimidation, a lot of bullshit. But when it was time to ask people to stand up and oppose this fucking tyrannical regime we got, there was a lot of him-hars. But when I pointed over at the fucking nurses, that was the trump card. Because if you any type of man, you better fucking stand up because the women are doing it already. Okay. And now if it's a scientific debate, it's already won because they're the professionals. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. So it ended the fucking conversation, in my opinion, and it put us on the road to Ottawa. So I'm gonna bring her right in. We do a quick interview. I hope we don't mess up her last name. I'm gonna try it though. Sarah Coujounian. Hey,
it's all good. No.
No.
Nice try.
Shit.
It's fine. You could call me Sarah. It's Coujounian.
Well, I want to hear you say it though, because I got one of those names too, man.
Coujounian.
Okay, different vowels. Coujounian.
Coujounian.
Coujounian. And where's that? What nationality is that?
That's Armenian.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cool. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we'll have a little me one-on-one here, and then I got the B team in the back room. They're gonna come in, and you should be afraid because they're gonna definitely. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. They're nice guys. I don't know if you watched the show before, but we got some military whistleblowers. Yeah, this is what we do. Oh, okay. Well, you should, because we highlight the best freedom fighters in the country, and now you're on here, so you can tell your friends and tell everyone to tune in. But
absolutely,
Armenian, that's cool. I got good. I'm glad because I got some videos that I want to go through about it because that's not a subject that's not talked enough about. Armenian Christian, right? Are you Christian?
Yeah. Yes. I'm not religious, but yes, Armenians are some of the first Christians, and there's a genocide going on over there, but nobody knows about it.
Again, right? It's not the first time.
No, it's not.
It's a thing they do against Christians. Interesting enough, I got a video here. I don't know if it's probably appropriate time we can play it, but in Palestine, I came out strong at the beginning in October. And most people didn't know. To me, it's the new COVID. And I heard actually Dana Metcalf posted on Facebook the other day, and she said something that I've been saying for years, that World War III is going to be the new COVID, the new pandemic. It's where all your rights are going to get thrown out the window. Your choices of your body autonomy, all this type of shit is going to be gone. I think it was a test run, a trial run to what's happening. And, Segovia asked me the other day, which war am I worried about? I'm like, fucking three, man. Like World War III. It's coming. It's knocking on the fucking door. And what's insane to me is that, for the most part in Western culture here, we're Christian and we're killing Christians, man, and then we want to say it's a religious war. Well, what side are we on? It makes no sense.
So after 1 year and a half from the court decision, they sent the settlers, the young settlers that these are miners that have guns and weapons in order to threat us. And they've been doing this since 20 years, but they took advantage of the war, and they thought that it would end in silence, but actually it didn't.
Ethnic cleansing, hey? I'm wondering, I'm curious, did you put this two and two together? Because so you're a health practitioner, right, in Ontario?
Well,
And
I was a nurse, yes.
you were a nurse, okay. When COVID came through, were you aware of the ventilators? I've seen some TikToks of health practitioners blowing the whistle on TikTok, and
Yes.
they were saying the ventilators were killing people. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
So,
heard
like,
about
did you make the comparison to a genocide early on?
so yeah, so my story, I worked in a nursing home, so there was no ventilators. If you
Right.
understand what I
Okay.
mean. Like that was in the hospitals.
Yeah.
And I spoke out before the ventilators.
Yep.
I spoke out in October 2020 against the lockdowns because of what I was seeing in the nursing homes, but also because I knew straight from the get-go, the government doesn't care about these residents. Like when you work in a nursing home, you know the government doesn't care about them. They get the cheapest food, and it's all about pushing medications. It's all about profit. They literally get a fraction of the money that prisoners do for a daily allowance, like food allowance from the government. And so for me, right from the start, it didn't make no sense. And I was already quite awake to agendas and things like that before. So for me, right from the start, I knew that this wasn't right. You can't, like, I'm big in the mental health community, and I'm like, you can't shut down things. You know what I mean? Like it's like the cure cannot be worse than the disease itself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me,
Well,
right away.
when did you come from Armenia?
Oh no, I'm born here. I'm
Born Canadian.
I'm from Montreal. My mom's French Canadian, and my dad's Armenian from Lebanon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that to me, that's your influence. That's your that's your awareness, because you can't come from those regions and not be awake to the bullshit. Because, like I said, here we are. We're Christians funding Christian genocides. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I'm actually not Christian. I believe in one God, and so, but I believe religion is being used to advance, and soon they're going to eradicate religion and God itself.
Yeah.
Just to say, so I think all these fights and all these wars is just bringing us towards like, oh, we need to stop religions and we need to all come together, like, and then Agenda 2030 globalization.
Yeah.
That's
You're awake, sister. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, that's my view, and I don't like it. And so, yeah, and I can see how COVID was like the Trojan horse to like bring it in. I mean, there's even books written by Charles Schwab. There's a book called COVID and the Great Reset, and he literally said in it. So,
yeah, it's not conspiracy. It's right out in the open, right?
Absolutely. It's just they make us look so crazy. Like they completely defame, cancel us. It's
hard. I find it's hard for a lot of people to swallow that they're on a depopulation agenda, and once you can swallow that, it all makes sense. And that's what I'm getting at with the Christians funding the genocide of Christians on the other side of the world. Like, people need to wake up to this, because when you get to that point, it doesn't make sense anymore. And you realize the only answer is that they're just trying to fucking depopulate. They're killing poor people is what they're doing. They can't afford to be here anymore,
Yeah. And we can't be thinking that, our tax money goes towards building our own prison and our own death and killing across the world and all kinds of stuff. yeah, it's sick. It's a sick, it's evil people. Definitely.
And pretty soon, like war, what that, to me, the most simplest way to explain it, if I had to explain it to an alien or a child coming into this world, first, organized mafia people, criminals, well-funded, are going to come and put a uniform on your body. And the moment they do that, you're going to be a target for other people on the other side of the world that are trained to hate you. And if you don't go kill them, they're going to kill you. And that's the game we're going to play, you know? And it's a cheap way to depopulate, because we give everybody a uniform and a gun and we point them that way. And everybody but these elite psychopaths get hurt. Yeah. They profit, right? They laugh all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
And we cry and we experience, you know, a calling of the herd, and it's traumatic. And it's,
yeah.
I mean, I remember like most stuff out of World War II where the kids, you know, 5, 6 years old had white hair from the artillery. You know, when kids get so stressed, their hair turns white. Children, little children. That's insane, man. And this is what we're going to do again. And we're going to blindly just go, okay, no problem. And you think that there's any other issues more important right now? You know, it's going to be fucking important when we send our kids off to that. I'll tell you that much. And we're going to say, why didn't we do something to stop it? And right now we have a chance to stop it.
I think it's been happening for much longer than we think. Hurting kids and experimenting on babies and all these things. You know, I was called an anti-vaxxer by everyone, and that's not what I am or was. Well, that's probably what I am now, but that's not. I don't want to call myself that because people have this image of it. My kids got all their vaccines. I used to get my flu shot every year until I got fibromyalgia and started doing my own research and started looking into it. And I was like, oh my God, like fibromyalgia is all about toxicity. So you need to look at what you're putting in your body. And, you know, started looking into like food, you know, medications more and vaccines. And they've been toxic for a long time. And they're giving those to our babies, newborns. And so their immune system is under attack from the beginning. You know what I mean? So it's like, it starts really, it's a different kind of war here, but it's definitely a war.
Yeah. And people need to wake up to that war, because we think that it's some poor people on the other side of the world that's going to come and kill us if we don't kill them. But the truth is, the ones that are killing us, they're a family of inbred retards. It's the most simplest way to put it. And the only way to keep them on top of us, because they want to keep that bloodline, that's why they only inbred amongst themselves. But the only way to keep above us, intellectually wise, is to dumb us down, is to poison us and to disconnect us from each other and make us afraid of each other and lock us down in our homes and treat us like prisoners. Because if we ever were, we would surpass them. You know, their scheme, their gig is about almost up. Everyone's awakened already to what the hell's going on. And yeah, I mean, people more are. There's a lot of people dragging their butt, and fuck, they're gonna pay the worst. I'm just sitting there like, man, I'm not gonna curse you because you're cursing yourself, you know. But whatever.
Yes.
Okay, I got another video for you. And then we're gonna bring in the B team, but Armenia.
I want everyone in my generation to never stop talking about this. I want everyone in my generation to never stop talking about this. The Armenian Genocide. The Armenian Genocide was the systematic destruction of the Armenian people and identity in the Ottoman Empire during World War I. It was implemented primarily through the mass murder of 1.5 million Armenians during death marches to the Syrian desert and the forced Islamization of others. Primarily women and children were kidnapped and forced to Islam and changed their names. No wonder why the DNA tests in Anatolia showing Greek and Armenian genes. However, at the orders of Talayat Pasha and the Young Turks political movement, 1.2 million Armenians were sent on death marches to the Syrian desert in 1915, 1916, and later after the orders of Enver Pasha, 300,000 more. Driven forward by paramilitary escorts, the deportees were deprived of food and water and subjected to robbery, rape, and massacres. The survivors were dispersed into concentration camps. Many countries have recognized the genocide, but not the guilty ones. Today, 24th April, is the Armenian Genocide's official Remembrance Day, and we honor the 1.5 million souls who are still waiting for justice. So everyone do me a favor and repost and share this video to let everyone know the truth. Armenia will never give up and will always protect Christianity and their history. God bless Armenia.
I like that.
I had to give that shout out because they remind me of like the Métis, where they just get screwed from both sides. I mean, religiously speaking, right? Like they were the whipping boy in the middle, and it's terrible.
Yeah, they're surrounded. There's very small Christian country surrounded by a lot of Muslims.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there was
they wanted to take over.
I don't know if
but
I have it. Minajad, the neighboring country next door, they had a TikTok video recently. Yeah. Next door, right? They did had a TikTok recently talking about how they're all inclusive and how they have Jews and Muslims living in peace there. And this guy, I started to do videos back to back, but you're gonna love this.
Jewish.
Watch this.
I am Muslim.
And I am Christian.
And we just arrived in a country
That likes both of us.
But would arrest me at the drop of a hat.
And this country you will never guess. It's a country right next to Iran, Russia, and Iraq.
And Armenia.
Because of a miracle, people in this country get along, especially Jews and Muslims.
But not Christians, and particularly not Armenians.
This is the incredible story of
How the Azerbaijani government have got away with genocide, ethnic cleansing, and the annihilation of all Armenians, whilst still holding prisoners of war during COP29.
But it's not the only. This is happening everywhere to every religion, in my opinion. Like it's just a mess. It's just they only show us a certain agenda, like to move something forward, right? Because I used to speak about Palestine before the pandemic, and nobody else was talking about it, right? So why is it so big now? You have to ask yourself. It's never to help anyone. It's really to move something forward, in my opinion.
I think what made the Gaza incident different is that it was like Vietnam was televised a bit, but this was real time when there was live feeds in Gaza when they were hitting it, that's because what drew me in, because now it was a live war, right? Yeah, they wanted the attention.
But it's because they want us to see it. They censor what they don't want us to see. So if something is going around like that, it's because it's part of the agenda. This is what they want you to see, right?
Yeah.
I believe
you're a smart girl.
But
I'm glad you're on it.
I love what you shared. My great grandfather was very big in the Armenian Revolution. He was one of the captains. So I love seeing that. No, people don't even know what Armenia is. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and that's when I knew. I looked at your Facebook and I looked back and I was like, "Whoa, Armenian past, awesome!" Because it's something that it shows the confusion. When you look into it, it makes no sense at all, and it's there just because they want to see if they can kill people and if people pay attention, And that was it. But I bet you during that Armenian genocide, if there was live feeds of 1.2 million people dying, it would be different.
I don't know because there's people dying right now and nobody knows. And did you know that the Armenian genocide was used as an example by Hitler to kill all the Jews? He said, nobody cared about the Armenian genocide. It's going to be the same thing with this, right? So yeah, that's what happens when people don't pay attention. But look, even now, people are paying attention. Like, does it really make a difference? They're still playing with us and doing what they want.
I like to think so. I mean, I think we're better off than we were 10 years ago. I've been in this game. I've been an activist for many years, since late teenager. And just to like G20 protests. That's what kind of when I started G7 summits and stuff. And there was a small group of people that were supposedly awake, right? And they didn't know. They just knew it was corrupt as fuck. And now look at the numbers, you know.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. More and more people are waking up. Hopefully more people will, because waking up in those is not enough. Like you got to stand, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the hard part. That's what I saw with the nurses, which was a problem, right? Many nurses were awake, thousands behind us, but how many would speak up and do something about it and not give in? You know what I mean?
But not only, and I want to make sure you realize this, Sarah, that you not only inspired other health practitioners, you inspired the rest of the country. Because for me personally, it was the nurses. Because I heard about people, their businesses getting attacked and closing, people getting arrested for keeping their businesses open. But when the health practitioners are willing to, you know, many of them went to school for a lot of years, and maybe they're the only one out of their family that went to university, right, and had a decent job, and they're going to put it on the line for their morals. Well, what the fuck's the matter with everyone else then? What's wrong with the police? What's wrong with our government officials? What's wrong with you know? And for a truck driver, it was just you know, an everyday job, you know, but it's another cog in the machine that if a nurse ain't gonna put up with this shit, I ain't putting up with this. Fuck this, right? And as truckers, I think we stood up because we were able to. It was our market for work. You can get a trucking job anywhere, so it was easy for us to say fuck this, because even an employer that said, well, okay, you have to wear a mask or you have to get a job, like my boss told me that, I said, fuck, no, I'm not getting it, because if you want to fire me, go ahead. I got 10 other jobs I can go to, and they won't ask for it, right? So that's, I think, why it was the truckers that did the stand, but it was the nurses that motivated us.
Actually, we did stand. It's just that we were so censored. They destroyed us. We stood. I'm the co-founder of Canadian Frontline Nurses. We went across the country twice, 2021, 2022. This is before the truckers. And we spoke everywhere in all the major cities. And we were also, in September 2021, we organized the national hospital protests that were quite big. I mean, Justin Trudeau put in a new law that, you know, you can't protest in front of hospitals anymore, of course, unless.
Yeah, I remember that.
Unless you're union
and that was you guys, right?
Yeah, so that was us. And we got so much backlash, so many death threats, you know, put on TV, address leaked, bounties on our heads and things like that. But I think the difference, and thank God for the truckers, I think the difference is that the truckers was very visual, right? Mm-hmm. And so you got these trucks and they're coming across the country and they're like in one place. I mean, for us, they just made us look completely crazy, right? Like, oh my God, these people. But they couldn't like shut the truckers up, and the honking. It was amazing. I was there for 3 weekends. Really great experience. We even had like a truck with our big banner on it. So it was, I mean, great experiences throughout the last 4 years. But yeah, unfortunately, and they destroyed us. Like Canadian Frontline Nurses is done. All the nurses, you know, we got hit with so many fines, and you know, the Canadian Nurses Association defamed us, and we tried to go after them, and they turned it around, and we owed them like 315,000 or so, and like we just you know, it's, you know.
You're going to court. You're still going to court, aren't you?
Oh, I'm in. Yes, I'm in a big disciplinary hearing actually right now, because I was the first active nurse to speak up at a rally during the lockdowns. So they're making an example out of me. So my case may have precedence for freedom of speech in nursing. So we're in 30 days in. It's been a year and a half. It was supposed to be 7 days. Our experts against theirs. My experts are, you might know, Dr. Pellick and Dr. Byron Bridle. They weren't even fully qualified. So my evidence hasn't even gone in. 30 days. It's so corrupt. I was on the stand for 6 days. I just finished that. and we're in the last day now. It's going to be closing arguments, but nurses are the last line of defense between the medical industry and the patients. And it's literally our job. Like we learned in ethics class, one of the first things you learn is that when the medical industry turns against the people, it's our jobs to, I quote, agitate and advocate for what is best for our communities. So I literally did my job. And, the CNO, which is the College of Nurses of Ontario, which is who's coming after me now, is supposed to protect the public. So anyways, it's like so corrupt. They even, but and it's like, there's 12 allegations against me and they're all known to be true today, but they keep saying that I had no way of knowing in 2020 when I said it. Because there's no peer reviewed, public health researched double, you know what I mean? Like it's so corrupt. But I do intend on appealing it and taking it higher. And hopefully as time goes by, maybe justice will prevail.
Well, what I've been finding is what's been happening is they kick that can down the road as far as they can go. And then when they go, oh, fuck, and then they try and sweep it under the rug real quick. But I thank you for keep fighting. I really appreciate stuff like that. When people go the distance, it's not easy. It is intensely, it's stressful. You put your whole career on the line from day one. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to bring it
the other way. That's our duty, actually, as nurses. I'm still quite disappointed in the profession, to tell you the truth. I thought when I first spoke in October 2020, I founded Nurses Against Lockdowns that then merged into Canadian Frontline Nurses. And when I founded Nurses Against Lockdowns, I thought all the nurses, there was 10,000 people in a crowd. And I thought all the nurses are going to come up and we're going to stop this right there.
Yeah, everyone was paying attention in school, right? Everybody. No, not everybody.
Yeah, I don't blame them though, because we're so programmed, to be honest. Getting fibromyalgia, healing myself outside of the industry and seeing how they didn't know what they were doing really started making me we all know big pharma is making money, but you don't realize to what point how evil it is, and how as a nurse, most of the time we're harming people, we're not helping people, and we're there to help. So we're being used. It's so disgusting. Yeah. You know what I mean? But a lot of nurses still don't know.
But thanks for being real, and it's thank God, because everyone's turning into a fucking robot these days, and it's for the paycheck and that's it, right? And then the hierarchy for the ones above you tell you what to do, and you think you forget all the programming and you just do what you're told like a robot, right? And yeah, thanks for doing that. How can anybody support you in your battle, your legal battles?
Oh, well, I have they can actually, it's a public hearing, although there's only 1 day left, and they've been making it quite difficult, but people can email them and get the links. I don't even know what day it's going to be, because it was supposed to be, the last day was supposed to be September 18th. And my lawyer got a medical emergency and had to be rushed to the hospital the morning of. So now I don't know exactly when that day is going to be. But people can email and I can send you these links, hearings administration group at cnomail.org. And I also take donations, and I tell people, you can look at it as donations if you want, but this is the future of our country. Yeah. And if
case precedent, right?
Yeah, and exactly. So if nurses can't speak, we saw how much harm can be done. And so, we should be able to speak. People should be having an informed consent. It's always been about that. What's going on? How come I'm in trouble? Because I made sure that the 5 aspects of informed consent were being respected, which are, knowing all the benefits, the risks, if there's any alternatives. That was completely censored. The risks were completely censored. I'm in trouble because I said it wasn't safe and effective. That's one of the allegations against me. And you're supposed to be able to tell people how it works in the body. We weren't allowed to do that. And people are supposed to have the right to ask any questions they want and have them answered before they give informed consent. So, if we don't have that, then...
That's not where the money is, Sarah. That's what they can't say, the quiet part out loud. But that's not where the money is. So your biggest social media is Facebook? right? Is that what you're on mostly?
Uh,
Facebook or what else?
Yeah, I'm kind of censored everywhere at this point because I was
Yeah.
running the social media, but Facebook seems a little bit better now.
Mine too, yeah.
I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter.
Okay.
And I just actually we just formed something new called Canadian Frontline Advocates. Because they won't let me use the word nurse is a captured word from the colleges. So you can't use it. And so and I like advocate better because I feel like that's what I was.
Yeah.
So we're starting something new and we really want to help people, make sure that they have all the information from both sides, not biased. You can from the medical industry, what you can do on this side, and also everything holistic and natural, and so that people can really make an informed consent. But it's also about empowering people to understand the illness that they have, not complicated jargon that people need a doctor to understand. Everything is very simple. When you understand, when you explain it, like it's common sense.
People have gone and learned it for themselves for the most part. Like they've taken it on themselves because they don't trust the medical system anymore.
Exactly, right? And so we want to help people, navigate through the system if they have to, but also become active participants and empower them to heal themselves.
Okay, watch out. Better put your helmet on.
Now, next time you think you want to take somebody out, pal, get yourself a team.
Do what's right, and you can't go wrong. Take it from me, Mr. T.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Hi, Sarah Coujounian.
Yes.
Oh,
I got some stuff for you, Sarah. I got some great. I was listening to you talk, and I was chomping at the bit to have an opportunity to enlighten you, perhaps, on some things.
Cool.
If you've watched our shows in the past, I've harped on about the missing flag in our courtrooms. Okay, so the flag was taken from our courts, and that was to remove the binding obligations to our Constitution and supremacy of God. They did that in 2019. Practically, they removed it. They drafted the policy for it in 2016. In 2018, they repealed Section 296.1 of the Criminal Code. That's the blasphemy libel. It was indictable and carried 2 years. And that's because of oaths of office, so help me God, and recognizing the Constitution written under God. All right, that said, when you were talking about your odyssey you're in right now in the courts and what you're facing in the courts, you're functioning in title, you're nurses. And so you're being held accountable as a nurse. So as a nurse, you're in title, recognizing supremacy of God, rule of law. If you remove God from the equation, you're just left with the rule of law, a legal process.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
So in that, they're using precedent to rule on you. Important point, citation made here. You said that they are rebutting to you that you had no way of knowing in the past. Hindsight, you're correct, but you had no way of knowing in the past. Okay, so I'm going to give you a citation. You can play this video back and you can catch the citation I'm about to read to you. I'm going to read it off.
Sounds good.
It's RV Eldorado Nuclear Limited, RV Uranium Canada Limited, 1983, to SCR 551, 1983, on Canley 34, Supreme Court, Canada. The citation within it is, where the only source of unlawfulness is a statute. However, the analysis in this is entirely different. If the person commits an act prohibited by statute and the Attorney General seeks to prosecute for violation of the statute, the preliminary question must be asked is whether that person is bound by the statute. If not, the person simply does not commit a violation of the statute. The statute is not, or the situation is not that the person is immune from prosecution, even though there has been an unlawful act. Rather, that there has been no unlawful act under the statute. What that means is, even though they feel that you had no way of knowing, you were right.
Yes.
And they can't prosecute you for it.
Right.
And that particular case was about insider trading. These guys committed fraud, but they walked because of the company had breached their contract to them prior to that happening. So they weren't bound by contract because the contract was breached in advance. So basically, anybody who was like for masking and all of that, you're a nurse. The N95 mask, you knew right away the N95. In 2012, the Oxford Safety Academy did an analysis and specifically said the SARS-CoV variant is not effective, or the N95 mask is not effective for the SARS-CoV variant in 2012. So,
yeah.
Lining up everything that I just defined to you from 2016 policy, set the stage, get the policy in play. That was by Jody Wilson-Raybould, by the way. 2018, repeal the supremacy of God. Same individual, Jody Wilson-Raybould. 2019, strip the flag from the court completely. And then all of a sudden, these acts and mandates become obligatory because the situation is that the supremacy of God has been completely taken out, and now you're being held under title, whether you like it or not. However, in that citation that I read to you, it says the person, which means that there's a legal right in that. So after this show's over, write that down, that citation, present it to your lawyer or who's ever representing you, and say that you want that employed in your defense. In regard to them turning around and saying, "How could she have possibly known?" It's irrelevant. You were right.
Oh yeah, we know. Like this is
like a World War II Nazis summarily executing human beings, and then afterwards, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't even stand in court, actually. It's just because we're at the college's court, right? And so it's I'm not supposed to say this. My lawyer told me, like, stop saying this, but like
I get it. It's a tribunal. So here's the thing. In that policy on communications and federal identity, where in section 2.2 it says they strip the flag from the courtroom, which also means that these arbitrations have them stripped as well in consideration. Right. All right.
Yeah.
Vicariously. Section 7 says if they do not follow the edict by the Treasury Board, that all of these consequences take place on your title. I call it the Jordan Peterson trip. And it lists it all the way down to persona non grata. Yeah, and it's an edict, by the way. The Treasury Board told the courts to remove that. The court's supposed to be a checks and balances. The flag is a representation of the Constitution, God, and all your rights therein. The shield is representative of equity, and the judge makes a decision balanced between all of that and your act.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, when you take that out of the equation completely, you no longer have inherent rights don't exist. You can't have an inherent right with a discretion applied to it. The only one that applies a discretion to your inherent rights being valid in the moment or not is you, the individual. And your words will be used against you. The situation now is the fact that you're locked into title because you're being persecuted for a role that you did in title.
Yes.
Okay. So your nurse person is being called before the state to speak for your nurse person's conduct.
Yes.
This is why that citation is so powerful for you, because it specifically identifies the person, and the person has some extra rights in there that just they don't want you to know about. And because they've removed God from the equation and the judge is now completely working under equity as being binding, you have to literally take his nose and rub it in it until it fucking bleeds.
But there's no judge. There's no judge yet. It's a panel of
the arbitrator is
nurses and 3 registered nurses that are part of the disciplinary committee, and 1 appointed by the government public member. So these 4 people who have no idea what's going on, to be honest.
So are you being is the representative that's speaking for you? You have a representative speaking for you?
Yes, we work
a lawyer.
with a firm. We've been working with a firm throughout because we've had other cases with Canadian frontline nurses. So yeah, we've been with them for like over a couple of years.
Right. So you have a licensed legal representative working for you.
Yes.
Okay. As opposed to a chief steward and you're working through a filter of a union.
Oh,
steward.
no, that's like I got fired long time ago. Like in 2020, the union, I was actually chief steward of the union where I worked.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like gonna bring the union down, but much.
They were dialed in on how well you drank the Kool-Aid long before they fucking pulled your strings. They were actually probably setting it up to fucking make that happen at some point in advance.
Yeah, absolutely. They were not happy because I was not happy with what was going down during the lockdowns about nothing. You have no idea what they were doing, making us do. And they're like, in a pandemic, they were telling us to re-gown because there wasn't enough gowns. Like something that you take off inside out and never touch again and put in like this red box. They were now telling us, well, when you come out, you're going to take it off and hang it up. And when you go back in, you're going to put it in again. And I was like, you guys are locking this place down for a pandemic and you guys are acting like this. Like it was just crazy. Everything we learned out the window. One mask for 8 hours. If you touch the mask, you're supposed to change it. Like it's just, there was so much. I can't.
Well, so to help viewers even understand what you're defining, when you remove all moral consideration and only concern yourself with equity, human beings just become they become designations of worth keeping or not.
Yeah.
Empathy gets taken out of the situation. The moral code is fucking gone. And we've been conditioned for it. In your trade, I know as a soldier, Kirk knows as a soldier as well, there's a certain amount in your training where they're deliberately trying to lower your empathy level so that you can process and think in a situation.
Yes.
There's a benevolent reason to why they do that. But when you're in that state of logic and reasoning, to push you that extra nudge to make a mitigating decision isn't hard. Your counsel that you're sitting in front of, I'm going to suggest to you they were most likely selected because they drank Kool-Aid and even know how to mix it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Like you got to, if you're going to be part of the committee. Come on.
Captain Kirk.
The ones who punish like nurses.
How you doing over there, buddy?
Good.
How you doing down there?
I just letting things go as they go. But I got a couple questions for you for sure. First of all, thank you very much, Sarah, for coming and for doing what you did. You know, a lot of people don't even consider standing up. But first question: did you ever take part in one of those nurses' TikTok dances?
Never.
Okay.
I would never sell my soul. Like
we're gonna get along just fine. And the second question is, what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life besides childbirth?
Right, because I did that 3 times.
Yeah.
You know what? It's hard to say, but I have to say, like speaking out was very hard because I was the first one. I was waiting for like senior nurses or retired nurses to speak out so I can like join them. I was a single mom of 3 in debt. I couldn't even go to my other job because anyone that worked in a nursing home could only go there. And so I was losing money already. I knew I was going to lose my house. I thought that someone's going to kill me. I was looking at a couple of nurses who we actually went and met in the States who spoke out. And I was just waiting to see like, oh my God, they're going to take them down. Right. So I think that was very difficult, but also the most empowering thing I never did in my life. I cannot tell you the energy that went through my body as I did that. And I swear God worked through me.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you had to do it again, would you?
Absolutely. And I gotta say, being on the stand for 6 days against the college was up there with that because I really had to control myself and act, professionally in a way where, I had to really say what I had to say because I literally turned their code of conduct against them. And so I was very I had to be very reversed and make sure I didn't say certain things and make sure I said other things. And I'm someone very passionate. So I was like really stressed that I was going to mess it up, especially that, you know, so many people gave me so many donations. Like we've been very blessed, at least in that way. People helped us a lot. So, but yeah, that was hard too. But I gotta say, I was trained because I had to leave my ex-husband with my 10, 2, and then 1-year-old. And he was like threatening to kill me and almost had. And so, and I was like I have a lot of trauma in my past. So I was like, I knew I was going to go back into drinking and smoking and, you know, and that was very hard at 28 to leave with 3 kids and not knowing if this guy's going to come and, you know,
Yeah.
So I think I was, you know, I was definitely built for this. But I think those are the hardest things in my life. But people would say, like, I was sexually abused as a kid. I've been through a lot. So I was built for this. I was built for this. I could tell you that much.
Well, thank you for not giving up, you know, and that's what I tell everybody. We all have hard days. Like, and also I've been to tribunals in the military. They wouldn't look at a single piece of paper I had. They've assessed me as 111% mentally disabled, which is whatever, I'm not. But just don't let them change who you are is the key thing. Because that's what they try to do, is they try to belittle you and make you into someone you're not.
No.
And another thing is, I highly doubt you'll ever get back into nursing, because I think it's ruined. And myself and everyone I talk to, you know, I can never go back to my old trade or anything like that, because that's what they do in the Constitution, is they ruin your ability to work. And I'm really happy you're getting funding and, or, you know, you're some help. You know, I know it's never enough, but you know, people are watching you and praying for you. I'm not religious, you know, but I do believe in God or something looking after us, the Creator. And that's what's kept me going for, like, I'm not sure if you know my story. I've been in exile for over 5 years, and I still can't get a politician to talk to me, except 2 nights ago, I actually got Maxime Bernier on with the Truth Table with Paul Everton. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, I've been working with Paul for several interviews. Real good guy. It's just a matter of these politicians have to be like us and stand up for us, you know.
Yes.
And that they're supposed to do their jobs. We've all done our jobs, you know.
Exactly.
And I thought, like when you said you didn't want to do it, you thought your supervisors would stand up. I thought all my patrol would stand up. Not one person got behind me. And it's just very, very proud of you. And I'll let
right back
questions.
And right back at you, right back at you. And it's kind of funny. You say Paul Everton. I think he reached out to me today to do an interview.
Cool. Oh, you popped there, girl. You're on your way.
Yeah, well, it's the little people like us, and not little people, but you know, we don't have a huge following, but we got to wake up one person at a time. Absolutely. And that's what I tell everybody. You know, if you wake up one person, you're saving their life. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do interviews with anyone.
Yeah.
Well,
I got one blind react video. Gotta get one in before the show's up. It's like a doozy. Okay. And then how we do blind react videos is after the video, you just jump in. You can turn your mic on during the video, but it's a little obnoxious. So Goldie likes to do it. But after the video, just blind react. It's like current event, things that people are talking about, things that we need to be aware of.
2024 might be the very last year that we have cat videos. You already know this, but you might not realize it. Because what is it that makes cat and funny animal videos like so cute and so funny to watch? It's not what you're seeing. It's that you know that what you're seeing is real, right? You're seeing a real animal do some really weird, funny shit. Like you see this and you're like, holy shit, that's a cat riding on a fucking crocodile. That's crazy. You see all of this and you're like, holy shit, nature's amazing. These birds are crazy. And you're right. Nature is amazing. And these birds are crazy. But I would bet that you've never seen one of these birds in real life. Right? And real life is about to change forever. Because today, you kind of know when a video is AI generated. You kind of know the look of AI. But the line is blurring really fast. And the moment the line blurs just a little more, suddenly, all of those cat videos are no longer cat videos. Suddenly, They might just be made up pixels. And we all know this is coming, but no one really thinks about the implications for like our deeper reality. Because most of us live in our houses, interact with our people, stay in our town, and really only see the world through a screen. And it'll start with all of us just kind of wondering, maybe that video was AI generated. Who knows? Maybe it was real or not. But if you get enough years down the line, you might start to get kids that don't even believe some of these animals exist. Because I've never seen that animal in real life. That's just a made up animal. Maybe we'll go through a time when people think everything is real and the entire internet is just a construct of AI designed to control what we all think about the world. Kids 10 years from now might not even think this is a real animal because it's only ever existed in the screen and everything in the screen is made up. What the fuck is that thing? If you didn't know that was real, how would you know that was real? The hell? And if you think about it, we already do this. When I'm reporting on a story, I treat a video really different if it comes from before 2010-ish than if it comes after. Because if it comes after, you have to notice, is this AI modified? Is this AI generated? Is this a real video? But if it's an old piece of historic footage, you don't have that question in your mind. You can trust it. It tells you what really happened. In fact, old video footage is one of the best primary sources for figuring out what actually did happen. But all of that is about to change, and we don't really know how or why. And everyone talks about like the deep fakes of famous people and the deep fakes of like, you know, politicians and news. But I actually think it is almost articulated better with cat videos. Because it's not just the news that this is going to take from us. This is going to take a certain level of wonder away from the world. Because suddenly you can't trust the world to be real anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, well, cats are awesome, and
Fuck
I
cats,
I have a picture of my cat chasing a heron the other day, like a huge bird. We live on the coast here, but I worry about the teenagers. They don't know what's coming up. Like they haven't lived what we've lived. Like I'm 54. You guys are a lot younger, I'm sure, but
No.
you know, I've had a good life. I've seen a lot of things. These kids, these people aren't going to see much. You know, it's been changed. So.
Bless you.
I agree. I love cats, but that stuff scares me because I was completely defamed internationally by the media and stuff, and that just shows you like they can really make like they can.
Yep.
Now I think they can do like a 15-second clip. Like, what are they gonna do? Like they can make like they can put me like they put me on the news and made me like said things about me that weren't true at all and made it look very real.
Yep.
I'm thinking, can you imagine if they can make me say something like?
Well, look, they changed Pierre Poilievre's statements on CTV. Like they outright admitted that that's
exactly
illegal. You know, and I have so many mainstream media reporters by the balls if I could ever get my story out. But
subconscious drives the conscious. Subconscious is highly programmable as well.
Yes.
Conscious can only think about one thing at a time, so it deals with what's in front of your face, moment to moment. If you are conditioned to focus on the conscious and not notice the subconscious, the person that's controlling the stage around you has a lot of power because they can drive your actions.
Yes.
So I suggest that we nothing on this planet, if you want to call it that, is new. We know as a collective a whole lot. Penn and Teller amaze you with a magic act. They're using common elements. You just haven't been exposed to them and are able to articulate them. And so when your conscious sees it, the fastest reaction of convenience is just to write it off as amazing. And there's no thought given to the deeper applications. Well, that's a really micro sort of way of looking what the macro is that they do to us in conditioning over a lifetime through education. And so we grew up in one set of values, like Kurt just dropped at age. We're the same age, bro. But we
I'm not that far off.
You see, we grew up in an era where a moral standard, and right now, the era we're in right now, doesn't make any fucking sense to us. But the 15-year-olds
that
were 10 when this started, Makes perfect sense. And they don't know any fucking different.
Yeah.
And when we're in old folks' homes, their rationale to what your default setting of good is going to be based on their experiences.
Yeah.
And their subconscious is programmed to rationalize a default setting at that.
Yeah,
almost to the point that one day when you're sitting in front of the window looking out, watching the birds every day, and you just don't know it, but your account ran dry. And they take you in the chair and they take you for the last push down the fucking hallway.
Yeah, well, I'll add one
you
thing.
You don't even fucking know it.
If I was to shake anyone's hand here, my word was gold. But nowadays, a man's word and ethic and honor, they're hard to find, or a woman's. It's you can trust me on my word. It was as good as a contract, but those days have sailed.
Somebody nowadays sees you and measures you as being that kind of guy. They see an opportunity to fucking rip you off.
Yeah, exactly.
And get away with it.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowed to find those fuckers and kneecap them anymore.
Okay, we got 2 minutes left. Sarah, thanks for joining us tonight. Where do we find you? Facebook, right? You're mostly on Facebook. That's it, keep tracking.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, wherever I can get my message out, I'm there. Rumble.
Donations, you got Give, Send, Go, or do you take e-transfer?
I do. I take e-transfers at Sarah's CNO case at hotmail.com or givesendgo.com/forward/SOS_4FOR_Sarah with an H.
Look up that citation again that I gave you earlier in this video. Don't forget that.
Please send it to me because I didn't write it down. That was kind of.
I got it right there. Okay.
And another thing, Sarah, please just Google Kirk Reese. I'm one of you to try to get my story out.
I will, absolutely. I've written all your names down. I'm going to make sure I'm friends with all of you and check you all out. So.
And really look forward to seeing you with Paul Everton too. So
sounds great. Sorry I didn't hear that, Kirk.
I look forward to seeing you on with Paul Everton and the Truth Table as well. So
awesome.
Good luck for everything, and thank you for standing up for Canada.
Thank you. Thank
for
you
everybody,
all
not that's how I see everything. So
and right back at you all. Thank you.
God bless and best of luck with those tribunals. All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion.